Yo, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be going through my top 10 CDL pros heading into Black Ops 6. So, I was thinking about it, like, honestly, the list could go either way. I want you guys to really give me your opinion on the list. I went back and forward and I tried to take my bias out of it, which was really hard. I'm an Optic fan and I really struggle with this list. I really did. So, we're going to go through, and what I'm looking at is kind of the overall year of Black Ops 6, how I think it's going to play out, and how I feel like maybe at the end of Black Ops 6 we're going to look at these players and be like, oh, that was the top 10 players. It's not necessarily looking at it now, it's kind of looking at throughout Black Ops 6 as who will be the top 10 in Black Ops 6, if that makes sense. So in at number 10 I have Draza. Wait, let me just make sure I got 10 on my list. Wait, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, that would have been awkward. So in at number 10 we have Draza. Now I think he had a really good game last year. I think he had a really good year. The only reason I put him at number 10 and not higher on the list is because something I saw about Celium here. I saw Celium, I don't know if he spoke to Hitch directly or whatever happened, but it was basically a conversation about he thought after Champs he was going to get dropped, right? And I feel like he realized, I think it was like a wake-up call, something that happened to Dashi as well, where he's like, right, I need to change my role. Yes, I'm talented. Yes, I'm insane, but I need to change my role or my time on this team could be over. And I think he's kind of evolved. And in EWC, we saw how good he really was. And we actually saw that version of him just throughout EWC. I think he was MVP. And I really do believe that Selim is going to come back. And I don't think Draws is going to be a bad player, but I just think he's going to get overshadowed this year by the rest of his team being back on a Black Ops game. They were just incredible in the last one, and I just can see them dominating again. That's the reason why I have him at number 10. In at number 9, it's going to be his former teammate. It's going to be Kenny. Kenny is an unbelievable player. Unbelievable player. The only reason I'm going to put him at number 9 is because I think what he does for the game and what he does for his team sometimes gets overshadowed by other players like Shotzi or Dashi or just Pred. Like generally in his team, like I think he has a really important role, and to be fair, he was unbelievable this year. He absolutely fried, and at times he was the best player by far on the team, and he was really doing well. And once again, I think this top 10 was really hard to kind of come up with. The only reason I put him kind of lower on the list is because I think this game's gonna be more of an SMG based game as well, and I just don't see the SMGs kind of getting no, I can't speak English. I feel like the SMG is going to shine more in this game simply based on that fact. I just believe that this game is going to be way more basis for like your fast aggressive SMGs, and I really do believe that that's kind of the reason why I think that's going to happen. I think that, you know, he's going to get overshadowed by Pred and Shotzi, and he's not going to be as impactful on the scoreboard, and we're going to look back. However, I still think he's going to have his impact in game and, like, you know, his comms and all that. In at number 8, this time once again we're going to go with another Optic member. It's going to be Pred. This once again was kind of difficult because I feel like Pred deserves to be higher on this list. Like, this guy's insane, but I just think looking at the top 10 players, there's so many really good players out there. Few people that like Hydra, Scrap, all these other players, I feel like they're just going to have a slightly better year than Pred. I think one good thing about Optic, which is kind of penalized them on the list here, but I think one really good thing about Optic is their teamwork when they're playing really well. Like, there's times where they play really well where they won Champs and Major 4, and they all looked unbelievable, right? Shotzi did look a level above, but they all looked unbelievable. And at that time, they all just had excellent Call of Duty, and as a team played really well. I didn't feel like it was like, you know, certain times in Cold War where Simple's just him, right? Or Hydra, when they win, is like Hydra is just levels above, and he's single-handedly getting them there. I didn't feel like that with Optic. I felt like as a team, they all played really well, and that kind of is why when I'm looking back at the year, I might not have them in the top 5. Again, I might be faded to say there's so many good players, and I'm trying to take my Optic bias away, which has maybe led me to being really on the opposite end and maybe not appreciating them as much as I am because I'm trying to get rid of that bias. But we'll see. Going in at number 7, I believe, it's going to be Dashi. Only reason, once again, he's not high on the list here, you can see we already have 3 ARs here, is I just think the pacing that Black Ops 6 is going to be played at. I think the SMG players and the more aggressive ARs and stuff, they're going to be a bit more, I would say, stat heavy, and they're going to be a little bit more talked about throughout the year. I feel like Dashi's going to be unbelievable, and I expect him to take on that role that he's had this year, where he's a little bit less on the stats, you know, more on the hill, more doing the dirty work for his team. He's still going to be an absolute staple for that squad, but I just don't think he's going to have as much kind of hype around him as a Shotzi, who's going to be flying across the map. That's the only reason he's a little bit lower on the list, is because stats wise and just looking back, he might be on like the 7th version of the top 10. It doesn't mean he's not going to have a good year. He's still going to be unbelievable. I'm an Optic fan. I expect them to do very well. Then in at number, is it 6? 1 2 3 4. In at number 6, I've got a Beezy here. I've got a Beezy. Abizi in Black Ops games has been really, really good. Games with a bit higher time to kill and more movement, more finesse, he's going to be unbelievable this year. And I put him at number 6. I feel like it's a good spot for him. I think Simp is slightly better in the Black Ops games. I think Abizi is a bit better in the Modern Warfare games and like Vanguard and stuff like that. Actually, I don't know about that. That might be a weird one. He was definitely better last year in Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 3, I think Simp was better. They kind of just gone back and forward, but I feel like next year is going to be Simp's game. And I think Celium having this more advanced playstyle, I think is going to... There's only so many kills on the map, right? So I feel like Abizi at number 6, I think is a good spot. I just think he sits there really well. Again, you could have him higher on the list, but I really believe he'll be in and about that area. I think anyone's list is going to be different because all these players are so interchangeable. There's no one telling me that you can't have Kenny or Draws in your top 5, right? You know where you can't have Dash in your top 5. You can definitely have Abizi 8 or 2nd. Like there's so many interchangeable kind of variables in this list, but this is the one I went with. In at number 5, I've got high hopes for Celium this game. At Cold War, when I used to watch it as well, I was like, yes, Simp and Abizi rightfully got all the credit, but I was like, Celium was just so hard to kill. And in games like this where the time to kill is a bit higher, I know there's more movement, I just feel like this game can really bring the best out of MC again. Like I said earlier with the Draza conversation, Celium went through a stage where he wasn't playing his best Call of Duty in game. He had really good stats, but I think he wasn't playing the pacing that he needed to throughout this year. I think Octane speaks about it a lot. He's quite vocal about it, and I just feel like EWC, we saw a different version of MC, different version of Celium. He won the MVP, and if I'm Celium, I'm looking back and saying, right, I'm clearly him. I'm clearly that good. I'm clearly that talented. I just need to prove it to myself and do this same thing again and make sure I'm adjusting my pacing. And I feel like that's going to come with, I think people don't realize when somebody adjusts their pacing, right, it's not necessarily that they're going to get more kills and that's it. They're going to get more kills, which is going to result sometimes in their teammates getting less kills because you can only share so many kills throughout the game, right? So I feel like he will do better statistically, and overall I think he'll have a better year than last year, and I do believe he will be at number 5. In at number 4, the final Optic member, it's going to be Shotzi. It hurts me not to put any of the Optic members in the top 3, it really does, but there's a reason. I think Optic as a team will be the most balanced. I think they're all going to be unbelievable, and I think they're going to have a really good foundation. I think Optic, when they played well, were a great team. They had different maps where different people popped off. I think Shotzi had the highest ceiling throughout the year. That game was a very, very difficult game to be an aggressive SMG at, especially at the start. I do believe this year is going to be completely different in Black Ops 6. I think it's going to be flying across the map. We've got Omni movement. This guy's going to be unbelievable. He really is. He's going to be unbelievable. I really wanted to put him 2nd, but I decided to put him 4th. Then we have Scrappy at our number 3 spot. I'm a big fan of Scrappy. The only reason I'm putting him so high is because I think he has arguably been, since his debut, I would say the most consistent player in the league. Since Vanguard, I can't, so Modern Warfare 2, the last 2 years, I think he's been the most consistent player, him and Hydra. And his team's been good, don't get me wrong, his team's been really good, but they've not been as good as the other 3. I think he has kind of carried his team more than any other team has, and more than any other player has. And I just believe that if he goes to Cloud9 with Hydra, he's finally going to get a roster with a bit more talent than the current one he had. Again, his team was really good, right? But now he goes to a potential Cloud9 team with Hydra. I just think we're going to see a Scrappy at a different level, and I think we're going to see the best version of him, and that's why I'm going to put him at number 3. Great player, quite an aggressive pre-aiming type AR. I just think this year is going to be, once again, another upgrade from him. He got better as the year got on. He's just unbelievable. One of my favorite players. He's going to be at number 3. Number 2. It's going to be one of my favorite players as well. It's going to be Hydra. I wanted to put Hydra and Shotzi next to each other. I was kind of confused out of the 2, which one to put above each other. And I just really believe the scrap effect on this team is going to bring out the best in Hydra once again. I think Kismet and Skies are going to take more of a support role, and you're going to see absolute domination out of Scrappy and Hydra. I really do. Again, I think another reason I'm having a lot of the SMGs on the top side of the list, right? At the top 4, there's 3 of them. Out of the top 5, you have 3 SMGs. Out of the bottom 4, you have 3 ARs. It's not about the players, it's more about the game. The way the game's going to be played, I just believe that the game's going to be a lot more aggressive, a lot more SMG based, and that's why they're going to have a little bit more highlights throughout the year, right? So I feel like Hydra coming at number 2, I think he's going to be unbelievable with Omni movement. He's got one of the best, cleanest mechanics we've ever seen. I think playing with Scrappy, if that's what's going to happen, is going to be crazy good for him. And I just think he's going to be in that form again, man. I feel like he's going to be, once again, another year. I don't think people realize speaking another language, going to English is like a crazy transition, and as the year goes on, every single year he's getting more and more confident. I don't see him getting worse. I see him getting better. The more confident he gets with the language, the more confident he gets with his teammates, the more comfortable he becomes. He's just going to become better and better as the years go on, and I think he's going to be number 2. Number 1, I think it's quite clear who it's going to be. It's going to be the boy Simp. I think Simp will be MVP again. We're going to a Black Ops year. He just had an MVP year in Modern Warfare games, and he is undoubtedly the best Black Ops player I think we've had. I'm going to say it. Black Ops 4, he was the best player at the end of that, and then Cold War, he was undeniable. I think out of the 2 years we've seen, from what we've seen, it's just, there's no doubt in my head he's going to continue that trend, and I'm quite scared as an Optic fan to see how FaZe play this year. I really am. I think they're going to be really good, but I think Optic are also going to be up there, and it's going to be very exciting. So just to confirm my top 10, we have Simp, Hydra, Scrappy, Shotzzy, Celium, Abizi, Dashi, Pred, Kenny, Draza. Very, very interchangeable. Like I said, I'm looking back at it. The only reason I've got Optic so low on the list as a 3 of Dashi, Pred, and Kenny is because I just believe as a team, they're going to be so balanced that no one player is going to stand out. I believe if anyone does stand out a little bit more, it's going to be Shotzzy. I think similar to last year, he's going to have a little bit more of a peak at those times because of his playstyle. And the rest of the year, I think no one's going to have like, you know, like when we look back and say, okay, Hydra was better than this player, but it's very hard to do these lists. It's just like, it's just one of those where you're looking back and you're just like, okay, if I had to go top 10 from this year, what am I saying? And I feel like Optic are going to have such a good team collection that it's going to be a little bit harder to put them individually up there. But as a team, I do think they're going to win at least 2 chips and be up there once again. So it's no discredit to the Optic guys. It's just making a top 10 out of these plays is really, really hard. Let me know down below what you guys think. Try to not be biased. I wanted to be as unbiased as possible and just give my actual opinion, knowing what I know about the players and how they play this year, the teams and everything, what I think could happen next year. YouTube, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, drop a like and I'll catch you guys for another one tomorrow. Peace.